Hello guys, good day. Welcome back sa ating channel. And welcome back again for another lecture on the Division Criminal Jurisprudence. No? So, nag-upload po tayo ng mga review lecture para doon sa mga titake ng board examination nitong Criminologist Licensure Examination June 2022. So, I do hope na makatulong sa inyo sa pamamagitan ng pag-upload ng Q&A na may kasama na ring discussion. Okay, so if you want ay mga ganitong topic, at kung kayo ay nagre-review, consider guys mag-subscribe kayo sa ating channel para nang sa ganun ay lagi kayong updated sa ating mga lecture at ginagawa natin ng lahat ng makakaya natin para makatulong sa inyo guys. Okay? And guys, so we are tasked for today to talk about a certain topic. We're basically going to distinguish the difference between the choices that we have. So as you can see naman dyan, we have just a very short question, but I think this will be a long discussion. So ito na guys, question number I think 5 or 6. Meron tayong part 1, 2, 3, and 4 already of this lecture na tignan nyo lang dito sa YouTube channel natin, as well as sa ating official FB page, naka-upload naman dyan. Balikan nyo na lang guys yung iba. So for this session, we're going to answer the question. Basahin lang natin. Mr. Juan de la Cruz shot Pedro. As a result, the latter died. What crime was committed? Okay, so we have here 4 choices. A for infanticide, B for parricide, C for murder, and D for homicide. Okay, I'll give you time to think about the correct answer. What do you think is the correct answer? Pwede ninyong i-comment na agad, then i-edit nyo na lang mamaya. Pero I think it's very obvious naman. So before we reveal the answer for this question, let us discuss the choices. So first, let's talk about infanticide. Anyway, itong mga 4 crimes ito, infanticide, parricide, murder, homicide, are the same, are similar crimes of killing. It involves killing. Ito ay pare-parehas na kaso ng pagpatay. It only differs upon the nature of the crime, upon how the killing was done, and other circumstances that we are going to be discussing. As I've stated, we're going to talk about infanticide first. So infanticide is defined under the Article 255 of the Revised Penal Code Book 2. As it was defined, infanticide refers to the killing of a child less than 3 days of age. Infanticide guys, ang ikakaso mo kapag ang pinatay ay isang bata na kung saan ay siya ay nag-e-edad ng less than 3 days of age. 3 days, hindi years. 3 days of age, kulang 3 araw pa lang ng bata. So pag gano'n ang biktima, yun yung biktima, gano'n ka bata yung biktima, ang isasampa nating kaso dito guys is infanticide under Article 255. Siyempre, the elements are first, na may bata na pinatay, a child was killed. Second, the deceased, yung namatay was less than 3 days old. Less than 3 days old. Then lastly, that the accused killed the child. So that's basically the element provided by the Revised Penal Code as to the commission of infanticide. So I hope it's clear. Kapag bata ang pinatay na kung saan ang edad niya ay hindi lalampas ng 3 days, ang ikakaso mo dyan is infanticide. Okay, infanticide. Next is parricide. Okay, let's talk about parricide again. Parricide, yeah. So parricide is defined under Article 246 of the Revised Penal Code. Parricide refers to the killing of one person of his either father, no? Pagpatay ng isang tao sa kanyang sariling ama, anak, father, mother, child, whether legitimate or illegitimate, no? So father, mother, child, tatay, nanay, or anak, no? Pinatay mo, ang isasampang kaso sa iyo is parricide. Or hindi naman kaya is ascendant or descendant. For example, pinatay mo yung descendant mo, which is yung mga apo mo, mga apo-apo mo, no? Or di kaya ascendants mo, which is yung lolo at lola mo, no? Kung yun yung pinatay mo, then ang isasampang kaso sa iyo is parricide, no? Parricide under Article 246. Okay? Whether legitimate or illegitimate, kahit na nakalista yan, nakalagay yan sa batas, no? Still, that will still be considered as parricide, no? Anak mo sa labas, pinatay mo, that is still considered as parricide. Okay? Also, it includes here the killing of your spouse, no? Yung asawa mo, pinatay mo, ang isasampang kaso sa iyo is parricide. By the way, why is this important, no? Bakit mahalagang we know or we can identify what this specific crime was committed? No? Kasi under the technicalities of the criminal procedure, pwedeng ma-dismiss kasi yung kaso kapag mali yung sinampang ma-dismiss yung kaso kapag mali yung naisampa. So para maiwasan yung mga ganong technicalities, especially pag nandun na tayo sa korte, no? Kailangan bago pa man isampa yung kaso is properly identified na kung ano talaga yung crime na nakumit. Okay? Kasi napakahalaga nito guys sa ating criminal procedure. No? So that is with regards to Article 246, which is parricide. Then Article 248 talks about the choice letter C, which is murder. No? Ano naman yung murder? Sabi dito, any person who, not falling within the provision of Article 246, which is the crime of parricide, shall kill another, no, shall be guilty of murder. No? Kapag ang crime, yung pagpatay, does not fall under Article 246, meaning wala namang relationship yung biktima tsaka yung offender, no? Hindi niya naman anak, nanay, no, or tatay, lolo't lola, or asawa yung pinatay, wala silang relationship, then it could be murder. Bakit it could be? No? Kasi, no, under the crime of murder, dapat meron yung mga tinatawag nating qualifying circumstances. No? Qualifying circumstances such as the following. No? Kapag ang pagpatay ay ginamitan ng treachery or may pagtratraidor, kumbaga. No? So that is treachery. That will be considered as murder. No? Kapag merong treachery. As long as it will not fall under 246. Halimbawa, may pagtratraidor pero yung pinatay mo naman ay tatay mo, nanay mo, anak mo, asawa mo, lola at lolo mo. Then, it is not murder. It will still fall under Article 246 of the Revised Penal Code, which is parricide. No? Pero kung hindi siya considered as parricide, it's not a crime of parricide, then meron tayong mga qualifying circumstances na to. Treachery, taking advantage of superior strength, ibig sabihin pinagsamantalahan mo yung likas na kalakasan mo laban sa kanya, or yung pagpatay is aided with armed men, no? Pinatay mo yung isang tao sa tulong ng mga armadong kalalakihan, no? There is an employment of means to weaken the defense of the person, no? Such as for example is nilasing mo siya bago mo siya patayin, things like that, no? Or hindi naman kaya is yung pagpatay mo was in consideration of a price or reward. Ibig sabihin is binayaran ka para patayin yung isang tao, no? O di kaya pinangakuan ka para patayin yung isang tao. Those are qualifying circumstances which would qualify the killing, no, to murder, no? So ganun yung distinction natin. Hindi basta kumbaga pag may namatay sasabihin nating murder, no? Or sasabihin nating homicide, sasabihin nating parricide. It's not like that, no? Let's look into the different circumstances first. Una, tingnan natin what's the relationship between the victim and the offender, no? Kung wala namang significant relationship, like hindi naman sila mag-asawa, hindi niya descendant or ascendant, hindi niya anak, hindi niya parent, yung namatay, then the relationship is deemed insignificant. Second, let's try to identify how the killing was done. Kasi meron tayong mga circumstances dyan. Like for example, gumamit ng pagtratraidor, no? Yung pagpatay is in consideration of a price or reward, no? And any other, marami pa dito, no? If you use fire, poison, explosion, no, as a means to kill the person, nilason mo, sinunog mo, no, pinasabugan mo yung isang tao, no, para patayin siya, yun yung mga ginamit mong pangpatay sa kanya, or hindi naman kaya sinagasahan mo ng sasakyan, no, or hindi naman kaya masyadong malala o masyadong sobra-sobra, yung tinatawag nating overkill yung ginawa, no, sa pagpatay na yan, then that would fall under murder. Like for example, gumamit ka ng chainsaw, nilagalagari mo siya, hinati-hati mo, chinap-chop mo siya, then that is an act of killing, and because of the circumstances on how the killing was done, then it will fall under Article 248, which is murder. Kaya tignan natin, unang titignan natin, di ba? Remember? Pag may pagpatay na nangyari, if there's a killing that was done, in order for us to identify what specific crime was committed among the following, among the crime of infanticide, murder, homicide, and parricide, you should first consider what's the relationship between the victim and the offender. Meron ba silang relationship? Are they kasi if they have some relationship, like tatay niya, nanay niya, things like that, magfo-fall yan under parricide. Magfo-fall yan under parricide. Kung wala naman, kung wala namang relationship involved, then it could fall either under murder or homicide. Ngayon, para makita natin kung murder ba yung nakomit, tignan natin kung paano isinagawa yung pagpatay. Then, as I've stated, we have mentioned kanina yung mga circumstances which will qualify the act of killing into the crime of murder. Sinagasaan mo, binunggo mo, para patayin siya, binomba mo, nilason mo, sinunog mo, trinaidor mo, inabuso mo, okay? Things like that, if there is the presence of such, then that will fall under the crime of murder. Article 248 of the Revised Penal Code. I suggest now when you are preparing for your exam, you read on the circumstances that will qualify the act of killing into the crime of murder. Para sigurado. Okay, so there's a lot more that I haven't mentioned. Anyway, yung with evident premeditation, yan naman yung halimbawa is it's very obvious na pinagplanuhan mo talaga yung pagpatay sa kanya, pinagplanuhan mo yung pagpatay sa isang tao, that is an evident premeditation, then that will qualify the crime into the crime of murder instead of homicide. Okay? And the last circumstances there is with cruelty, with deliberate and inhumanly augmenting the suffering of the victim. Diba yung parang halimbawa, pinatay mo siya, then sinap-chop mo pa, or di kaya is habang pinapatay mo siya, tinotorture mo siya, that will fall under murder as long as there is no relationship between the victim and the offender that will make the crime parricide. Okay? Anyway, ang parusa naman for infanticide, murder, and parricide are almost the same. Pare-parehas lang. Pero as I've stated, it's very important that we should be able to identify what a specific crime was committed for the purpose of the trial. So lastly, we have here the crime of homicide. Ano naman yung homicide? Sabi dito, a crime of homicide is committed when any person who, not falling within the provision of 246, Article 246, shall kill another. So, kapag ang isang tao ay pumatay, at hindi siya considered as parricide, di ba? hindi siya magfo-fall under the crime of parricide, no? At wala yung mga circumstances na sinabi natin under the crime of murder, no? Then the crime committed will be homicide. So kapag may pinatay, no, tignan natin yung relationship ng victim sa offender. Does it matter? Meron ba silang relationship na would qualify the crime from homicide to parricide? Anak niya ba yung pinatay? No? Asawa niya ba yung pinatay niya? Parents niya ba yung pinatay niya? Things like that. So kapag hindi, no, then you have two choices only. No? May two choices ka na lang. It's either that is a crime of murder or that is a crime of homicide. In order to identify whether that's a crime of murder, look into the circumstances on how the crime was committed. No? Meron ba yung mga binanggit natin kanina? Kung wala, then ibig sabihin, that is homicide. Homicide pertains to the simple act of killing. No? Simple act of killing. Now, let's go back to the question. Mr. Juan de la Cruz shot Pedro. As a result, the latter died. What crime was committed? Tingnan natin. Did the question state the fact that Pedro is a child less than 3 days old? Meron bang binanggit yung tanong natin? No? Na sinabi that Mr. Pedro was less than 3 days old. Kasi pag may binanggit dyan siya, like for example, ginawa natin, Mr. Juan de la Cruz shot Pedro, who is a child less than 3 days old, and the latter died. The crime that was committed was infanticide. Pero wala namang binanggit yung question. Okay? So walang binanggit, so it's not infanticide. Letter B. Meron bang binanggit na relationship si Mr. Juan de la Cruz kay Pedro, which is the victim? No? Anak ba ni Mr. Juan de la Cruz si Pedro? No? Lolo ba ni Juan de la Cruz? Lolo ba ni Juan de la Cruz si Pedro? Or hindi kaya? Apo niya kaya si Mr. Pedro? No? Parents niya kaya si Mr. Pedro? Father niya kaya? No? Si Mr. Pedro? Wala namang binanggit. Okay? Walang binanggit. So, this is not the crime of parricide. Okay? Murder. Tignan natin. Did Mr. Juan de la Cruz kill Mr. Pedro under the circumstances enumerated under the crime of murder? No? Meron bang sinabi dyan na ginamitan niya ng pagtratraidor yung pagpatay niya kay Mr. Pedro? Meron bang sinabi dyan na pinatay niya si Mr. Pedro in return of a reward or a prize? No? Things like that. Meron ba? So definitely, the question states nothing at all. No? None of the circumstances that we made mention doesn't mention any of those. No? So which means that the crime of killing done by Mr. Juan de la Cruz is neither infanticide nor parricide or murder. So ibig sabihin, what's left now is homicide. So the answer for this specific question, no, Mr. Juan de la Cruz shot Mr. Pedro. As a result, the latter died. What crime was committed is homicide. Okay? So, yan guys, no, for this session, I do hope I was able to impart knowledge with regards to the topic that we just discussed. If you find this video useful and interesting, no, please hit the like button or subscribe to our channel, share our lecture para makatulong pa tayo ng mas marami, no? And bilang pagsuporta na rin sa ating YouTube channel. Okay guys, that's it for today. See you on the next video. Bye-bye!